Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Protein Bros Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff Wasserman, and Kyle is with me as well. Today we sat down with the owner and CEO of Titan Nutrition, Brian King. Brian's been on our podcast before. He's launching a brand new pre-workout that's with an exclusive flavor for Supplement Superstores called Berry Blast. It's actually got 2 cartoon bears on it, and it's actually an ode to our original logo back when we started in 1999. Brian actually shopped with us during the time when we had that sign still up on our store, and so it's a really cool moment, a full circle moment, where his brand is now carrying a pre-workout that is exclusive to our locations that honors our original branding. So we talk about all kinds of stuff in this episode. He has unbelievable insight when it comes to individual ingredients. He talks about several different products you can get over the counter that have an incredible impact on your body and on your overall health. He's one of the healthiest guys I know. He's, like I said, a wealth of information. He has extremely high standards for his brand and for how his brand operates. And we just talk a lot about life too. We're guys who have all kind of grown up together. And so it's been fun to kind of watch all the different changes we've had in our lives and where they've gone and what they've done so far culture-wise and what they've built so far with Titan Nutrition over the last 17 years and what he's learned and what he's grown from. And if you're somebody who is a supplement geek, it's definitely a good episode for you because he gets in some really fun, nerdy stuff when it comes to how certain supplements work in the body and what to be looking for in ingredients and so forth. So if you are a fan of supplements, this is your episode. Lean in, let us know what you think. And as always, like, comment, and share the podcast. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Let's get to the episode.
I learned not to steal when I was a freshman in high school. We found the keys to my football coach. My coach has dropped his keys on the football field. We found them. Obviously, as a freshman in high school, what do you do with the keys to the high school? You wait till that night, and then you go into the school, and that's what we did. And
did you guys break into the concession stand?
Yes. As I was like, this is awesome.
Free candy?
I was like, I deserve to have a nacho machine. As I was walking out with said nacho machine, the cops come in. They say, "Freeze! Drop the nacho machine." I was like, oh shit, I am stealing officially. And then I got put on diversion.
As I've heard this story many. Hey,
what's that?
You got off light.
Yeah,
he was 14.
It was breaking and entering, theft, and burglary. And when they told me those, I was like, "We had the keys. Yeah. We had the keys. Like I didn't break into anything.
I walked in. You know, we did not break in.
Something as a 14, like you don't think about it.
I wasn't thinking about it at all. I was just like, this is cool. I can go into the school. And then I was like, we were in the school. I was like, dude, I could have a nacho machine in my room. You know, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Your parents like, what the fuck were you thinking?
My dad left me in jail for the whole weekend.
You really
in
juvenile
for a freaking till Sunday, and that was a Friday night. And I was like,
a drunk tank, if you will, for 14-year-olds.
And never again.
Never again. No,
Scared
haven't stole anything since then that I can remember.
There's 2 things I can say to that.
One, either, I bet.
There's a certain gun case that Kyle uses to this day that isn't his, that he didn't steal. He just has conveniently borrowed for 6 years.
Dude, do you not? It's basically.
Are you missing a gun safe?
I'm missing a gun case that he uses right in front of me blatantly.
Last weekend.
It says Wasserman.
It's
I kept your shit in my house for like 2 years, dude. The least you could do is give me that gun case that I needed.
We moved to open a business in Kansas City, and one of us bought a place that he could live in permanently, and one of us rented and didn't have any storage. So I asked, hey, conveniently in your basement that won't be used, can I just throw some stuff down there for the time being? He conveniently gives me everything back except for a gun case.
Did you charge rent?
I didn't charge anything.
No rent.
That's what I'm saying.
Sounds like you paid rent.
Yeah.
Sounds like I paid rent unknowingly. And with some people, we call that stealing.
Or it was a steal.
It was
a
Brian,
steal
do you have
on my
a lot
part.
of guns?
I have some guns.
Yeah. I've learned from having your gun case that I actually prefer a soft gun case versus that hard one that you have.
It just looks really cool. That's
it does look cool.
It's a Pelican.
Are you gun guys?
Hard plastic.
Is this like hunting or are you gun guys?
Well, what I have it on is
I'm more of a gun guy. He's more of a hunting guy.
Okay.
AR.
We both have fun.
A Ruger 5.56. It's got a thermal scope on it. So it is nice having a hard case with a thermal scope because they're expensive, but it is kind of a pain in the ass to haul around.
I don't have any land or anything, so I don't do a lot of shooting, but I do like to be prepared. That's about it.
We have a shooting range in the back pasture.
Oh, very cool.
So we shoot, but it's more like
plinking and so forth, or
yeah, it's When do you go to Bass Pro? When you live in Springfield, when do you go to Bass Pro?
When do you go?
When?
Saturdays?
When someone comes to visit.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And that's
I'm
when
with
we
you.
shoot.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's when we shoot.
I'm with you.
I went to Bass Pro
It's a
this
novelty.
morning.
Like, what do you want to do? We can go shoot guns.
We can go eat food in Springfield. We can go shoot guns. That's about it.
We can walk out. We can walk out the back door and go shoot guns. So
That's awesome.
We have some fun guns to go shoot.
And I think that's everybody's dream, to be able to have the freedom to do such.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk on, because I've heard this story Kyle has told several times regarding the nacho machine. I've been to several concession
Don't put that
stands
on
in
the
my life.
podcast. I don't want everybody to know my criminal background.
That's going on the podcast.
You're a
but
thief. It's not.
Can we just talk about for a second? I know we all know what a popcorn machine looks like. We all know what a hot dog roller looks like. What the fuck does a nacho machine look like? Is it just the
It's
cheese
actually
dispenser?
not even that cool. It just heats up that shitty cheese.
Is it just a cheese dispenser?
It's just a box. It's just
Yes,
like
it's
looks
just
like
a
a big
box
toaster
thing.
that
Yeah.
has a lid on it.
Yeah, I don't. Only a
just a
14-year-old
cheese
was like, "This
dispenser.
is cool," and that was me being a moron.
Oh, it's one of these. A stainless steel guy.
no, it was It was like
the plastic nacho
one.
cheese guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that would have been even cooler right there.
You didn't even
Any
have
more
the cheese.
expensive?
I didn't even have any cheese. What was I going to do? I just had the machine.
You'd been better
I'd-
off running out with a box of Snickers.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, the cheese machine. That's that black one in the middle, Luke. I saw it. The black guy. There it is.
They could have just told you to put
That's
it back.
that's it, right?
I
This is what
inst-
you got. You got caught with this red-handed.
Yes, it was something more like this.
Gross.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, they did you a favor. Yeah, you would have been way better off. The popcorn
You gotta
machine probably would have been a
understand-
felony. It probably would have been $1,000.
I grew up in Derby, Kansas. This was the coolest thing that had happened to the cops in probably the last 10 years. They were like, we got real shit going on. There's somebody breaking into the middle school. They came in there like guns drawn on us. And I instantly was like, oh no, this is not good. This is very bad. I didn't realize that this
Now,
could
did
go
you
so
drop
bad.
it or did you set it down gently?
Yeah, I think I might have gave it to a cop like, here, sir, I'm sorry. I don't know. And they were like, get on the ground.
This
I was
isn't
like,
mine?
Jesus.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were in America. I thought I was allowed to have
Listen, I
nachos.
go to school here. I deserve this.
I was working the concession stand. I meant to clean this, and I came back for it.
Hey, this is a really good question that our producer.
One of my buddies
wrote.
blew a fire hydrant in the hallway, and I learned about the expense of restitution for that. That was pretty bad.
Blew a fire hydrant in the hallway.
Yeah, I took it off the wall and blew it down the hallway. Which
Fire
actually,
extinguisher.
which
A fire extinguisher.
fire extinguisher. Sorry, you're like that. Seems like there would be lots of water everywhere.
What the hell's that doing in the hallway?
Fire extinguisher, and learned really quickly that those are not easy to clean up, and that costs a lot of money to clean up.
Yeah.
So
All the
don't
powder.
don't do that.
So I got this question. There was a driven nutrition question that I already knew the answer to that he wrote. It was funny. I was like, hey, what inspired you to start that second brand?
I have since inherited that brand. Driven Nutrition is great. So, Driven Nutrition was something a former partner had started. And from the outside looking in, so Tight Nutrition LLC owns the brands Tight Nutrition and Driven Nutrition. And so, Taylor and I, my current partner, we consolidated ownership November of 2022. And so,
a humongous step in Tight Nutrition's future, by the way, and a humongous congrats, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. So in November 2022, when we purchased Tight Nutrition LLC from our former partner, there was three of us, that brand, who was ran by Jason, became under kind of, I don't want to say it was all under one roof.
Now it's your subsidiary, if you will.
Jason was managing the brand. So we've hired a brand manager. Ian Bergner is the guy's name who runs that. Ian's a several times CrossFit Games competitor. He lives out in Carolina, but he actually was in last weekend. Does a great job running that brand, and he's kind of the tip of the sword for Driven Nutrition.
Okay. Well, the fun part is in the very beginning, all the differences in the brands was like, okay, how do we make this work? Because I mean, here's the thing: CrossFit boxes, they were looking for ways to make more revenue, and that's where you guys really got your niche going in that time, right?
Yeah.
Back in that time when you were creating products, you guys had three different pre-workouts, I want to say. Kick-In, Adrenal Prime, and Kre-Ex.
Adrenal Prime became Kick-In, so it would have been Activate, which is a different form.
Oh, that's right, Activate.
Adrenal Prime and Kre-Ex.
What do you see now, Brian, compared to these? So we have all these like direct-to-consumer internet brands that seemingly are just never ending. There's just a new brand starting every day.
TikTok
right?
brands.
Is that what we can call them?
I think so. Yeah, because they're all influencer driven.
Right. With that being said, do you see any of them actually gaining any traction with loyalty long term? Have we seen any of that happen yet? Steel Supplements comes to mind. Maybe Ghost.
They have to be attached to a personality, from what I've seen.
They do. I think the best example of one, they're almost too big to call them a TikTok brand, but C-Bum. I don't like. He's so popular and such a vast following. I think that's escape velocity to the point where you probably don't need to spend much outside marketing dollar outside of, he's going to reach 20 million people.
Yeah.
His
in a post.
To be fair to him, he also is he's a subsidiary of Raw.
It's Raw.
Well, it is Raw.
All the all the same stuff.
So I'm saying, with that being said, it's like he already had an established brand as far as product, because he teamed up, right? But I feel like Steel Supplements just started on its own, right? Ghost, I feel like would probably be. Would you call that internet brand as well? That's direct to consumer. But are they always attached to GNC from the beginning?
Correct me. They're a GNC brand,
right? Well, yeah, and Guzman was their face, right? Christian Guzman. So I guess there's Transparent Labs, which was like straight off the internet only, right? And then they started partnering with brands.
We were talking before.
Alpha Lion,
Rise, Alpha Lion.
We were talking before the podcast a little bit about stats that you guys had looked at as far as supplements and basically the growth of the supplement industry over the next 5 years. You want to kind of elaborate on what we were talking about as far as those stats go?
Yeah. So I was telling Kyle, I don't know if you were in there. We were talking. We work with a company called AdSmith. You may have heard of. They do help us with a lot of our outside marketing. And they'll come up with all kinds of stats and stuff as we go into 2024, helping us reach our target market and what's the market look like from year to year. This has been, to say the least, this has been an interesting year in the industry. And a couple of not alarming, but cool stats. $22.7 billion was spent in 2022 on supplements just in the U.S. alone. Wow.
That's a growing industry.
It is. So we'll get into, it was, there are American adults over the age of 25 take 76% of them take between 1 and 3 supplements every day. You have the protein alone, that category, powdered protein, is projected to increase 3.9% a year over the next 10 years. So you look at 10 years from now, 140% greater growth or greater consumption of powdered protein. For a lot of the same reason people take supplements now, it's filling a gap that's lacking. I think people realize that protein consumption, prioritizing protein, is going to be key to metabolism, muscle mass development, all that stuff. So
it's also got to be, it's got to be the increase in education that's happening at the same time as
it's becoming more common knowledge.
Grocery is, like buying steak or buying chicken now is more expensive than it's ever been.
Yeah. Protein per serving is getting high. And you're seeing it more in grocery stores and places where it's more readily available. It's more accepted. It's not, it used to be, are you going to get on some protein? You're going to get on some protein like this?
Getting on some protein.
Am I going to get on chicken breast? What is that? But to people before, that's where it starts. You're going to get on creatine. Like, well, creatine's in red meat, spinach. It's, and I think as it's become more accepted and more widely available, you're going to see those numbers go up. Interestingly, it's actually already superseded the pre-pandemic numbers in terms of what is being bought. And this is cool for stores like S2. Kyle and I were talking about this. It's almost 80% of supplements are purchased in person versus online, which you always think like, well, it's got to be online. But a lot of that, one thing that's going to drive that is
consumables.
Grocery stores carrying more stuff. You have to take that into account. People are going to go grab their vitamins now, maybe some proteins and stuff at the grocery store. So that's considered in person too. But the big thing is, I think this is a good thing. It's interest. People who are interested in being fit. There's a lot more knowledge out there, more places to learn about things. And when it's, I was telling them, guys like us, if we were accountants, we weren't in the industry, we stopped buying protein at stores a long time ago, if we're being honest. Just like I really don't go shop for shoes anymore. I don't have time. I'll order them. But if I was really a runner and I'm really interested in being a better runner as I'm learning, I would go to a place like Ridge Runner Sports and I would get on the treadmill and I would learn about the best shoes for my feet.
Specialized place.
Yeah, I would want a service, not just a product. And that for supplements is so important that you have a place that you can trust. And this is where I think supplement store owners sometimes can miss the mark, is they think they're just selling supplements, but really what you're providing, you're selling supplements, but you need to provide a service. And if you provide that service along with a product, that's how you're going to win and get that return customer. And so with that, I think that's why more people are going and purchasing supplements at a store like this, where they can get some education and background behind it. And educated customer is the best kind of customer.
Make an informed buying decision.
They're going to be informed themselves. They're going to tell other people, and that's what we want. We want people. For us, if we're making quality, efficacious products, we want people to know what it's about. We want well-educated people explaining it, and so they come back to the store and get it.
Well, I appreciate that you have that thought process, because that's the only thing that we feel like it provides the best kind of value, for the consumer. And
I also, just from the standpoint of trying, like, that gives me a little bit of hope from the standpoint of trying to make America healthier. It seems like more and more people are kind of focusing on health now, and it's like, we need that, because America's now more unhealthy than we've ever been. And if people are eating more protein, obviously that's going to make a big difference in body composition over time. It just gives me, hope that we can kind of turn around the obesity issue that we've been dealing with as a country.
On top of that, our stores are, I think we're seeing from our consumers, this is what I think is really cool, is we're getting more people that are looking for health. They're looking for wellness. They're not looking for the aesthetic.
Right.
They're not coming in saying, like, I want to have 6-pack abs. I want to have, I'm looking to be ripped this summer. And of course that happens.
It's more mainstream.
And that's cool. But it's been fun to have a lot more customers coming in saying, like, I'd really like to just feel healthy. I'd like to feel good. I'd like to improve my wellness every day, and like we might be selling less supplements to that customer, which is great, because they're into their own health for the first time, and they're not afraid to come in for that.
You also might be selling more, because as they get out, like, I think we've expanded our line greatly in the last 10 years. I mean, we started in 2006 with pre-workouts, which is the most unloyal category.
Yeah, disloyal. For sure.
And I'm not blaming the customer. I get it. It's especially it's a young demographic, and you might sell a kick-in, a Kre-Ex to someone, and they come in a month later, like, how'd you like that kick-in? Dude, awesome. Best pre-workout I ever had. You want to grab another one? No, what else you got?
Yeah, let's try something new.
It's a feeling. They want to try it. They want to do that. But as our brand has matured, probably along with myself and our other owners, it's gotten more into, like, what's the longevity look like?
Yeah.
How can we be healthier longer? What are the gaps? Because pre-workout it's not filling any gap. And really, when you're thinking about supplements, you want to fill those gaps in where your health drops off.
Yeah.
Right? I think it starts with, like, trace mineral complex. And that in addressing the lack of, well, if you want to get geeky, it goes to, like, take just that for an example. Trace minerals are going to be in most American diets. Even a guy like me, I try to eat very well-rounded, very healthy, but when you consider, I don't buy everything at Whole Foods. I don't eat all organic, and even if I did, getting all the colorful, all the fruits and veggies and stuff it would take is very difficult. And if you look at packaging of products and the nutrition facts it lists, I'm not talking macronutrients, I'm talking micronutrients. If you were to go test that, and this has been done, if you were to go test that product on the micronutrients that it says on the package, that what should be in there versus what's actually in there would be vastly different a lot of times. And a lot of it's done to monocrop agriculture. So the way fruit trees and plants that we eat are supposed to be grown is they grow up, birds, things, humans eat them, but then they fall to the ground, they decay, and those nutrients go back in the ground. But when you have monocrop agriculture, it's going to break it down to one of 3 reasons why you need a micronutrient, a trace mineral complex. Vitamins are a different thing. I think people put a lot, they call it the vitamin mineral category, but let's really talk about trace minerals, what people are missing, because that's what's coming out of the ground. So when you have this monocrop agriculture, we grow the plant, we cut the plant off at the top, it pulls the nutrients out into that fruit or vegetable, we cut it off and we eat it. It doesn't degrade, it doesn't go back into the soil. So you're constantly pulling the same nutrients season after season out of the soil. That's great. We've found a really good way to feed a vast population, but not a good way at replacing the nutrients. We still get the calories, but not the same nutrition. The second reason is even the animal meats we eat, chicken, beef, and fish are fed a lot of pellets and corn and stuff. They're fed the same monocrop agriculture. They're not allowed typically to go out, forage, free range. And so they're fed, unfortunately, corn a lot, which is pretty devoid of nutrients in the first place. It's monocrop agriculture. We can grow those animals very quickly on a high calorie, low nutrient diet. So when we eat those nutrients, those red meats and stuff that should be really rich in minerals, they're devoid of minerals again. And lastly, the third reason is transport. We're so good. If you live in Minnesota, you can still eat tropical fruit 12 months out of the year, which is awesome.
It's amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. You can get oranges from Florida. You can get bananas from South America and the islands 12 months out of the year, and it's a frozen tundra in Minnesota for 6 months. But that banana has to be picked weeks or months before it becomes ripe. And when a fruit becomes ripe on the vine, it's being fed those nutrients from the ground again, right? Those minerals from the ground are going to be feeding that kind of its blood cycle. It's going to be feeding that banana. So if you pick it at the peak, if you ever go down to an island like St. Lucia and you eat a banana off a tree when it's really ripe, it tastes very different than it tastes in your kitchen. That's because it's picked at the peak of freshness. And when you pick that well before it's ripe, those starches inside that fruit, they're going to slowly turn to sugars in transit as it gets to you and you eat it. But it doesn't have the same nutrient content because you picked it from its source of those nutrients. So those monocrop agriculture, animals devoid of free range, and then transport is a way that you can get a massive amount of calories distributed to a huge population, but they're all going to be devoid of micronutrients. We almost have, you have simultaneously an obesity epidemic and a very malnourished population. So I always start with people who say, what should I supplement with? Take a trace mineral complex. It's going to be very hard to ask your body to do anything, whether it's build muscle, lose weight, increase performance, if you're not addressing the basic micronutrient needs at the cellular level. And that's why a trace mineral complex would always be the first thing I recommend. And that's how we formulate our essentials. It's a trace mineral complex first, and then we added some aminovitamins, so vitamin D, K2, vitamin C, zinc, B vitamins to help turn over energy production. But the source of it, the base level of it, is a trace mineral complex.
Dude, I love that, man. I appreciate that explanation too, because I think so many people have never heard that kind of in-depth explanation. So
yeah. The why is important. Yeah, the why is important when you're trying to fill a gap or you're trying to decide what.
Well,
should I take?
Here's the thing too: is a lot of people, when we're talking to them and recommending, vitamin mineral complex, they're in their head thinking, well, I can just buy that for $10 at Costco. Right. And they don't understand the differences in the types of minerals and basically what they're bonded to. And then also, the way that the actual pill is made, and how the production of the pill is made.
It's a hard press pill coated with shellac, which is what you coat furniture with and your tent with. And most of those end up in the sewer or the septic tank.
Yeah. The emulsified vitamins. Yeah.
And the vitamins, they're not we all use all chelated mineral stuff. A lot of times these vitamin stuff they put in, they're just synthetic vitamins. Your body's not going to absorb. Mm-hmm. So you can check the box that I took my Centrum. I took my one a day, but you didn't absorb any of that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate part, man. These are the things that we have to address. It gives supplements a bad name in general because, of course, people are basing their thought process of the quality of supplements based on the lowest quality.
Well, they're also getting recommendations maybe from a doctor that is telling you, oh, you can just take a Centrum. Or I've even seen doctors now say you don't need to take a vitamin.
Yeah, I actually was talking to a guy on a plane who was asking me what I do, and I explained it. He was, well, can I ask you some questions? I said, sure. And this is why I would take these. He goes, well, I went to my doctor, and I was critically low on vitamin D levels, or single digits, which is nothing, right?
Right.
And he said, and I told her I was taking a multivitamin. She goes, don't take multivitamin. They don't do anything. Like, well, the multivitamin you were taking, you're right, didn't do anything. Yeah. He's like, so she put me on a high level of vitamin D, and that brought my levels up. I felt better. And good that she recommended taking vitamin D. It's really more of a hormone. Anyway, you can get into like the sun exposure and stuff. You should get to have your body synthesize vitamin D. It's the only vitamin we can make in our bodies. But we go back and look at the bottle of that Centrum or the one a day, and they try to put so much shit in there just to fill out the label and the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, which is, again, not what we're missing. That the vitamin D will be 200 IUs, 400 IUs, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
I take 10,000 IUs.
Nothing.
You need 2,500 IUs of vitamin D.
Yeah.
So they're getting it on the label to check that box, but they're not addressing the need of the body that's taking it.
Yeah, man, it's all from the viewpoint of like what's going to make someone buy versus what's actually going to deliver the result.
Well, right? What's crazy to me is that most doctors that are saying that are quoting that from that population study, right? And if you think about it, if you're looking at it, that it's not a controlled trial, it's a population study. It's done off a survey, right? And most people are going to be taking a vitamin that is from a big box store, right? And so it's crazy that there's not a more critical thinking about like, well, we should probably dig into, what specific vitamin they were taking. Was it actually being absorbed? You know what I'm saying? Before.
Right. Are they the vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin A, these are all fat soluble vitamins. Are you educating the person to take it with a meal containing some fats?
Yeah, fats.
There's a lot of vitamin D in particular. It's you could argue that's the most important vitamin. That's not actually a vitamin that you could take, but 66% of it, it's 2/3 are going to be completely wasted if you're not taking it with a fat. So that 10,000 IUs you're taking doesn't count. And just the ease of one a day, a Centrum one, like that's what sells. Because it's not sexy. Like for ours, ours is 6 00 capsules a day. I don't want to take that many capsules.
Yeah,
but I don't want to go for a run either. Like,
do you want to eat raw vegetables or organic vegetables off the vine?
Yeah. Pick your hard, but
it's the same thing with like omega-3s and fish oil too. It's like people undertake, they kind of check the box on that too.
They'll be of what they need.
Yeah, they'll be taking such a small amount that I'm like, just don't take anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just save your money or actually take an effective
fish oil
dose.
is super tricky when it comes to dosing.
Yeah.
When you talk to people, because a lot of on the front of the bottle it always says like,
it's always
1,500 milligrams or 1,200 milligrams.
Yeah, fish oil, not omega-3.
Right. So that's like measuring the size of the Tylenol capsule and not looking at the back of the acetaminophen. Like if you said, hey, it's like saying fish oil doesn't work. Well, how much are you taking? 75 milligrams of EPA and DHA, which is a lot. That's not uncommon. But if you said I have a headache, and I said, well, here, Jeff, take some Tylenol, and you said Tylenol doesn't work for me for headaches, but we looked at the back of that Tylenol, and you took 50 milligrams. Well, I give you 10% of what it takes to help alleviate a headache. I'm not recommending taking Tylenol when you have a headache. Get hydrated, take some salt, get some caffeine in you.
It's good for your, liver.
Yeah. The other part of that is so it's not just the size of the capsule, but it's the amount of EPA, DHA in the capsule. And then what's tricky with the fish oil is the serving size. So sometimes you're like, oh, this is a pretty efficacious dose. It's got 400 EPA, 300 DHA. Well, you got to take 3 capsules to get that. And you can find that if you get a quality one. And there's a lot of quality ones out there.
There's one pill, yeah.
We're talking about Titan. If you find that, you can find what we call a triple strength one. You can find 700 milligrams per capsule. So you don't have to take that many. While it might be more expensive than grabbing that sundown version, whatever it is off the shelf at the grocery store, it's going to be cheaper to buy the higher end version per capsule. That gram for gram, you're going to get a lot better.
Yeah, and those bottles that have a yellow lid typically are like the ones I'm like, hey guys, that's just, they're not even there to help you, Bottom line, dude, I'm so psyched that you're giving us these in-depth explanations. I want to go move into another product that I think has been extremely, extremely helpful for the masses if they just knew more about it. Can you talk to us about NAC?
NAC, yeah. N-acetylcysteine. So, NAC,
will you slow that one down for everybody again one more time, because they want to do some Googling?
Sure. It's the N-acetylcysteine. It's the supplement form of the amino acid cysteine. It's orally available. We do have
as much as people are trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, so
we got to ban it. NAC has really been a problem. We got to get it off the market.
It's too effective.
This is
causing a big deal.
We didn't make NAC for a long time, but. So here's how I first heard of it, was just in the bodybuilding community. NAC is a really great, you can get all kinds of liver health supplements, etc. It's great at alleviating the high liver enzyme count, which you want anytime you introduce,
synthetic testosterone boosters?
Anabolic steroids.
Yeah.
Those go through liver, and they can be hard on the liver. Liver's response is to raise your ASTs, GGTs, these liver enzymes that are your liver trying to heal itself. And NAC was a very popular, for 30 years, don't quote me on the amount of time, but 30 years, I believe, give or take, you could take NAC and help alleviate some of these liver issues, lower your enzyme level. Now, then I don't know the exact year, but it was around COVID, they discovered, or I don't know if it was discovered then or highlighted then, that NAC also reduces viral replication. And so what viral replication is, when you come in contact with a virus, COVID, the flu, you name it, one is viral load. How much did you sneeze on my face, or did we share a drink, right? How much viral load did I get? And the amount of, am I exposed? Did I get sick? How sick did I get? Is how quickly that virus can replicate versus how quickly does your immune system stop that virus and reverse the replications. Your body responds, it fights the virus, and it kills those virus cells. So NAC helps stop viral replications. It helps your body fight a virus. Typically, we recommend if just on a let's say it's cold and flu season, your kids are starting school, you want to be a little more fortified, take 600 micrograms a day. Milligrams, excuse me. If you are actually come in contact and you get sick, then you can bump that up for a week or two to about 2,400. But there are people right now they're lobbying the FDA to make NAC a prescription only. So instead of getting 250 servings, your family can share for a month for, was it $25? Mm-hmm. They would like to, I mean, we all kind of know what happens when it goes into pharma. You're going to pay 3 times that, but insurance is in on it too. So they're going to kick in, charge your insurance company.
No, dude, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't make it more difficult to access quality stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try and turn a ridiculous profit like that.
They've never taken a harmless supplement off the shelf and made it a pharmaceutical. Right?
Never. It doesn't happen.
It may happen this one time.
Yeah.
So right now, Now Foods actually is there's no supplement lobby.
Mm-hmm.
There's no supplement lobby. But I've heard Now Foods is trying to fight it. So it's on the watch list, which is a nice thing that's happened in the supplement industry. There's a watch list before it goes banned. So we're watching. It's still available now. We watch big websites to kind of see what if they're still carrying it. We're going to still have it out there. But
imagine. So I guess can you break down for the listeners what how a supplement could be banned when it hasn't been proved to be dangerous at all?
And do you actually know the answer?
Yeah. Because most of the time
it's
when
crazy.
things are banned, there is some kind of sliver of like, well, it causes dehydration. Well, it has this or that.
That one guy died.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So that's part of it. Part of it is, and it comes to dosing, right? Like, it's dose dependent. What's harmful, what's not. Like, no one's banning caffeine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you talked about aspirin.
But ephedra,
Right.
was that the Orioles pitcher? That was the infamous story where he, put on a sweatsuit and took way too much of it and went out and ran and was in a sauna suit.
So there's some wrestlers that had died or had cardiac arrest, but they were also dehydrated in a sauna suit, sitting in a sauna, and they had taken ephedrine. A lot of things like picotropin, I think, became a psychopharmaceutical.
Unbelievable
for for helping out with depression and whatnot. But yeah, so what happens? It's a conspiracy maybe, but I think like probably the biggest ephedrine was big, andro, right? So like 19-norandrodione and stuff. This is what Mark McGuire was taking. That's it. That's all he was taking.
He was not taking growth hormone.
He was not. No.
Just some stuff you could buy at 3-letter mall stores.
His head grew that much naturally.
Yeah. But let's say if you had it, I mean, and part of it, I think it is responsible retailers too. You also have retailers that kind of ruin it for everybody because they'll sell it to the 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But andro wasn't hurting anybody. It really wasn't. Like, and guys were taking it anyway, right? They're getting it underground, if you will, in exogenous forms of testosterone, analogs of testosterone, which is all it really was. It's an analog of nandrolone that passed through the liver. But as soon as a pharmaceutical company can say, hey, we could profit off of this, and low T is a really big deal. We could make andro gel. Let's go lobby the FDA to get this pulled off supplement shelves. Then you see it put into a product and sold through
thousands of dollars versus $60.
Correct. Yeah. Now for a few $100 a month, you can get andro gel. Same effect, different modality of application, but that's typically what happens. Is if it works, if it's something that the pharmaceutical companies, whether it's Merck, you name it, but if they think they can profit from it and they have a reason they can, like in acetylcysteine, if we see that in a pharmaceutical form, it won't just be N-acetyl, it'll be methylated, or it'll be N-acetylcysteine ethyl ester where they add an alcohol onto it or something, and then that's the patented version of it. Yeah.
Since we're talking about this, do you think, when you look at like the test booster market, it's calmed down on the pro-hormone side of things, and it is really popular now on the SARM side of things.
Yeah.
Those are still like gray area products. What's your opinions on SARMs?
So I'm not an expert on SARMs. I'm familiar, I guess. SARMs, and there's SERMs too, right? some of them are great. I mean, and you can I'd put peptides in the same
right
in the same category. I think like I'd take an oral BPC
157.
I think it's great. Ulcerative colitis. It's I've remained in remission, but it's through really good. You talking about being really lean all the time. It's just being like super disciplined, because that's what's best for my body. Is why I don't fuck around much with different stuff, but I'm really careful with what I take. So I couldn't go tell you. I know like all the rad 140s and all the different compounds. I know
the reason I brought that up was because the SARMs were introduced to the market because of people who had cancer and trying to maintain muscle tissue while they had cancer.
I think it's like Osterine and rad.
Osterine, yeah. And so I didn't know if it was one of those things where it's a similar situation where people.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, I was just saying if
as far as them going pharmaceutical, I think the popularity of them will determine if they get too popular, then they'll go pharmaceutical. There's some I think are in the limited research and stuff we have on them. It looks good so far. Like I think if we're all sitting here, let's take cardarine for example. I think you could find a lot of studies that show cardarine is actually heart healthy. I know people on here go like, "Oh, you should say that." And there was who's the CrossFitter that in 2018 that got busted.
Is cardarine the one that like increases your metabolic or your cardiovascular output like crazy?
It does.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be very heart healthy though, and you could kind of understand in the way it works. I'm trying to think. I know it helps with blood sugar stabilization. I'm not exactly sure the mechanism that makes you a cardio freak when you take it, but
cardio in a bottle is what they call it within that.
I think he's come back and he's been forgiven, but Ricky
Gerard,
well, that's what he was popped for taking, and it'd be a great CrossFit drug, to
say the least.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned a good point earlier. As we're talking about this with SARMs and so forth, and just if it works really well, watch it get banned. You just mentioned, you have UC, ulcerative colitis. You struggle with that. BPC 157 helps with that, and I believe that is now on the watch list, if you will.
It's always been
I thought it was just on the list of things that are not going to be able to be available to be sold anymore.
It never was, like in supplement stores.
I'm with you. No,
it's for research purposes only.
Correct.
Research only on peptide site.
Yeah, I have a very trusted source for it. Another one I've used is the MK677. It is a growth hormone secretagogue. I believe safer, and you could go back and forth on whether growth hormone in of itself is safe versus unsafe. I don't think I would make an argument for like, hey, it's totally safe, guys. Everybody should take it.
Sure.
I think dose dependent what you're using, but the MK as a growth hormone secretagogue entices me a little more. I think it increases ghrelin in the stomach. It does increase your growth hormone output rather than putting the hormone in your body. That's one. So it's kind of like with pro hormones and other things, like you lump everything in together. I think there's probably some that are going to be like, hey, this isn't long term. This isn't good for you, and we should really stay away from this one. I don't think we've separate. I certainly don't know. I'm sure there are people that know, and you probably find supplement store owners that know more about it than I do. That's not something we deal with a lot. I know a little bit.
Well, we stopped
about a few.
Yeah, I think we carried them for a brief amount of time, and then they became they got put onto the expected to be banned list, and we stopped carrying them pretty close to right away. And that was around the same time that the Blackstone Labs, Superdrol and all of those were getting banned, and so that's when we kind of just stepped away and said that's not what we are as a company.
Yeah.
And so
we don't want to keep having these issues where we're having products that we carry no longer being able to be sold. Obviously,
and same for us. I would never vote for more regulation, but there's some areas where more regulation wouldn't hurt. Not because I think SARMs are bad. It's because if I'm buying a SARM, I really want to know what it is. Right?
Yeah.
So if I'm getting the MK, like I really want a trusted source, and I know where I'm getting it, because who knows what's in that bottle. So we'll see. That's one I don't deal enough. I've around it. I think we'll call it our industry is maybe a little parallel with the SARMs and peptides, but it's nothing I've dived into personally to know a lot about it or where it's going.
You have one more product that I wanted to touch on because it's so unique, and I just wanted to kind of ask how your experience with it has gone since you guys have launched it. But the mTOR. Am I saying that right?
mTOR, yeah.
Yeah.
So mTOR is just nomenclature for protein synthesis, muscle protein synthesis. It is a phosphatidic acid-based product, PA for short. Phosphatidic acid increases mTOR or protein synthesis. So think of, we're talking about hormones. If you want to know, like, well, how does testosterone or other anabolic steroids really work? Okay. And any anabolic steroid, talk about a growth type steroid, is, and this is not mTOR, it's not a steroid, but if you want to know like the mechanisms that they work, why do you get, so they have different properties of them. Some are more, have more water retention, some dry you out. But really what you're doing is through an anabolic pathway is you're turning on protein synthesis. Okay. You're just flipping that switch for your body. Your hormones send signals. Okay. Hormones send signals, amino acids send signals, and an anabolic hormone sends a signal to take the amino acids that your body ingests from proteins, break them up into individual amino acids, and reconstruct muscle tissue with them. There's an anabolic pathway. Phosphatidic acid is a non-anabolic pathway of turning on protein synthesis. This does it 700% over placebo. So that turns on that anabolic pathway about 700% over placebo. So I would look at it like, think of like your body's uptaking amino acids through a straw to build muscle with. Taking a phosphatidic acid is like now you're blowing through a garden hose, those amino acids. Other things like leucine that's in the mTOR product also help increase muscle protein synthesis. So you have kind of two pathways and for the same goal for increasing protein synthesis. We put some other stuff in it. Boron, which is is considered a non-essential mineral. It's on the RDA, but it is one of those minerals that is lacking in the American diet. So we put some boron in there. That's going to be important for hormone production, both men and women. Leucine, as I mentioned.
ZMA in there too.
Here's something that listeners might not be fully aware of that you could probably expand on. Why is black pepper extract in so many products?
I'm really deliberating on what it is. So in this product, black pepper extract, Bioprin, the trademark version, helps increase absorption, availability, bioavailability. Why it's in every product is because we buy Bioprin at a rate that putting it at 5 milligrams in a product costs nothing per unit. Mm-hmm. That's why you see it in so many products. So sometimes like we put Bioprin in it, well, it's protein. You're not going to have any trouble absorbing it.
You'll be fine.
Maybe some digestive enzymes.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people don't understand that there's certain things, basically back to what we were talking about with the fat-soluble vitamins, that there's certain things, certain ingredients that, if you think about if you were ingesting an ingredient, naturally, like let's say you were ingesting, any kind of ingredient naturally, it's like you're going to eat it in food. That food is going to have other ingredients that are going to help with the absorption of it as well. And with supplements, you have to add things like black pepper extract, or you have to eat, a fat-soluble vitamin with fat to help with the absorption of it. And I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah. If you see Bioprin in a supplement, that is an absorption agent that is in there. Whether all the ingredients needed or not, it's to increase the bioavailability of the ingredients, other ingredients in that product. So Bioprin in and of itself, I believe black pepper is a bit of an anti-inflammatory. In that amount, it's probably just in there as an absorptive agent. Mm-hmm.
You guys are Titan, you guys are obviously a nationwide retailer. You guys have accounts all over the country. With retail since COVID, right? I think we've seen a lot of stores go by the wayside. Have you noticed that as well? Yeah,
not just since COVID. I think it's a weird economy right now. And here recently, we've been traveling around a lot, visiting stores in all parts of the country. And the industry is, I don't think struggling. I'll tell you what, I don't think if we visited any other industry, we'd find it much different. And it's hard to see from the outside. If you're shopping supplements, there's a lot of companies, and a lot of companies doing well. We had a big event down in Oklahoma, and one of the reps down there made a quote. He said, "The 2024 event of this, half these reps will be here." And I think that's true. It's been, I hate to say it's been too, I'm not rooting for any kind of economic crash, any kind of slowdown, but I think it's just what it is. I think there's going to be a reset. It's been too easy for too long. COVID was terrible in a lot of ways. It also threw a lot of cash out there and made it really easy to start a business, to stay in business, but maybe you shouldn't have. And that's kind of drying up right now. There's things completely out of our control too. You have what's going to happen with China and Taiwan. you know, that whether we think about it a lot or not, there's people that are looking at that and they get a little tighter with their wallet. Same with Ukraine, same with Israel,
Gaza, and all that. Yeah.
So I think you're looking at these anytime you have Saudi Arabia in an area where there's conflict. You look at oil prices. When oil prices go up, transportation of everything
goes
just
up.
Proteins and vitamins, everything goes up. So I think people are aware of that. It's also an election year. I know you guys have a ton of confidence in the administration. I'm a little more skeptical. So Jeff just looked at me.
Don't make me talk about politics on this podcast, Brian.
I'm a little more skeptical. Honestly, I'm more skeptical about anyone who gets in office of the front runners right now.
I don't watch the news.
Yeah, don't.
Don't.
Yeah, I think when you kind of
politicians just want the best for us, man. They're just looking out for us. They do. Really care about the American people.
I tell you, my
servant leadership.
My advice is to act like a politician in times like this, and only take care of those closest to you and those ripples slightly out of there. And as it gets bigger, you kind of have to, there's not a whole lot I can do about what's going on in Israel right now. So I want to take care of the 3 other people that live in my house, those I go to work with, and my family and friends that are closest to me. I want to build relationships like this, because there's not a damn thing we can do about.
You don't have any any flags in your profile?
No.
Some Palestine or
zero.
Jeff wants Israel flags in his profile.
Free them.
Yeah. Free Israel. Free Israel.
That's how much Jeff doesn't watch the
I want to go on record and say free Israel.
Free them all. Yeah, dude. I do think I don't. And just to be very fair, this is in no way trying to be disrespectful to those who are really passionate about those subjects. It's just I'm not trying to make more problems in my life that I already have. I have problems I need to solve right now, so I'm going to focus on those.
I mean, I think it's even with the election stuff. I'm not saying don't go vote, but if you really wanted to affect yourself and your community, your household, focus on your local elections. I look at your immediate family, your friends, your local community, your city, your state, in that order.
Yeah.
People have it completely backwards. They're worried about what's going on around the world.
Yeah, man. I go to my neighborhood council meetings for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, for real though.
That's really what's going to make your life better. We live on a farm. We know our neighbors. We have people around us that we love and trust, and that's who I'm concerned about and worry about.
Imagine if you just never turn on the TV, how nice things could be.
Not because I don't think there's situations that are tragic. There's just nothing I can do about them.
I don't want to be the naysayer in all this, but I feel like that's become a problem because basically national politics, power has been consolidated into national politics more than it should have ever. There should be more power at the local level than there is at the national level, and it feels like it's opposite of that right now.
Yeah, and it's entertainment.
Yeah,
the news is entertainment. Yeah, people like to get mad and yell about the Sunday night football game, the Monday night football game, but politics, they can get mad all the time, and people like to. As humans, we like to worry, right? We were always worried. We were always. You always like scarcity, right? You always, you're always foraging and hunting, and you have that reward, and you get excited and stuff. And so we lost that. We lost that ability to be focusing on the here and now.
Yeah.
But we still have the worry. We still have it's in our DNA to worry. So we worry about everything.
How do you
go talk to your mom? She's worried about everything.
Oh yeah,
right.
Well, dude, as we take this turn, go ahead, ask your question, Kyle. I'm gonna turn this topic a little bit.
I was gonna say, how do you obviously having a lot of having employees, having accounts across the country, how do you just focus on how do you tune out the noise? What's your go-to? Is it working out? Is it what hobbies do you have outside of that help you with not getting wrapped up in the bullshit that is the news?
We don't have TV.
Oh, you don't have a TV in your house?
We have TV. We don't have cable.
Oh, you don't have cable?
I don't have cable.
Nice.
I'm never getting in the car and turn on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
You have you also you spoke about this once, and I thought it was one of your best posts you've ever made, actually. You talked about introspection. Is that my bad? All right. You talked
Keeps clicking. Sorry.
You're all good, dude. You talked about introspection, Brian, and you talked about just the amount of people. We have a mental health crisis in our country of so many people that are, rather than, I would say, unfortunately, I feel like there's a swinging of where you have people who are so upset about their mental health but they also don't do the things that they need to do to get themselves out of the mental health. They use that as their crutch, as to not to deal with it or become a victim mentality. It's just a very fine line that people are dancing on, right? What is your thoughts on being introspective and how you can come out of that mental health in a much better way? Because you had a whole post about it, and I thought it was really well said. You don't know what I'm talking about?
I remember the post.
When you're talking about basically thinking inward, it's like, dude, you're always thinking about me, and then you
okay. So yeah, I think people always look at even the term introspective, like, oh, I sit and I think about how I could be a better person, how I could, but a lot of that's what's the world done to me, and how am I going to deal with it, and what's the, it's a selfish way of thinking a lot of times.
Yeah, how am I going to react when this happens? And,
and
how does this make me feel?
How am I being perceived?
And how can I be perceived?
Yeah.
Right? What can I put out there? And I think sometimes if the best thing you can do is it becomes real negative too. Like it's not a healthy way to think. No. And so I think, I don't remember the exact post, but I think the purpose of it, if your goal is to reach out, and if you're not thinking of me and what can I get, what can I transactional relationships, what can I glean from this person, what can I get from this, what's going to make me happy. If you start trying to reach out and you're more focused on connecting with other people, not just making them happy. I'm not talking about like buying them something to do, but how do you like connect with other people and give yourself outward? That increases your value of yourself.
Correct.
Too. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but once you do, like, it feels good to go out and connect with other people. And so that constant, like, I'm working on myself. I'm working on myself right now. Well, that's selfish. In a sense, it's kind of selfish. Like, you should be a good person.
It's kind of narcissistic.
Right. But like, I'm just taking time to work on myself. That's fine. But what are you doing for other people? Because that's really what's going to make you feel better.
That's the main point right there, is that there's so many people that are working on themselves and taking a mental health day or this or that. And it's like, well, what are you putting out in the world? Are you putting any good out? The more you give, the more you get. We hear this phrase, and it's like, really, really sit with that and think about how that actually makes sense. And it's like, how much are you giving? Yeah. And if you're giving, how much are you giving without any form of selfish intent or any kind of keeping score there? How much are you giving out of the pure joy of giving? Yeah. And think about how, what's going to fill your cup better, right? And so I loved that perspective, and it's not something that you typically hear out of a supplement company CEO, but I thought it was a really special message.
I think if you're talking about even in the workplace, and this doesn't have to be in supplements or anything, but I think even in the workplace, the best way to be, instead of like, well, look at the org chart, you see my name at the top, like, you work for me. I'm the boss.
You're not supposed to do this.
Or the middle management person. I had an employee been with us for a long time, and he explained it, probably Parker, our graphic designer, great dude. He explained it probably. We were having a conversation. We're just at his house hanging out. He's a big MMA guy, so we go there and watch the fights. We'll meet at Titan and watch the fight. And we were talking about work, and he said, you know who my boss is? He said, you're my boss. And so is Angela, so is Tyler, so is Taylor, so is Kelly. Because if someone wants something done, I'm going to try to get it the best I can. I'm going to be of service to everyone here. And the way I look at it, if everyone has that attitude, we don't have to worry about who the boss is. We're all just working for each other. And that thought that we're all working for each other, that's true. Like, I own Titan, but really Titan owns me. Like right? Like, right. You guys only own your own stores.
You guys are all mission driven,
but you're in service of your stores, and of your people there. And if you can act with a sense of service to everybody, that's how you're going to grow your company. That's how, like, if I want to, I can't, I'm the boss and I'm the CEO and we're going to do what I say. And that's how we're going to grow. No one wants to grow like that. That never works. It's not the best system. The best system is to be of service to everyone. And if everyone understands the mission and how they can be of service to other people, again, going back to in the community or in a business, that's how real growth happens. And when you have that mindset of selflessness versus selfishness, that's how you can get a culture to grow.
I do feel like the younger generation currently is a generation that I've seen that focuses on happiness in a way that maybe I've never seen before, or I guess is more dramatic than I've seen in the past. That
you talk about it as it's a destination.
Yeah, like, I'm going to be happy when, And I'm like, hey man, you know, if you're in your early 20s, you probably don't have any money. You don't have much going for you. Like, you shouldn't be looking online at people that have, you know, are 15 years down the road and be like, I'm unhappy because I'm not at the same destination. It's like, dude, you know, and
comparison is the thief of joy.
Comparison is the thief of joy. But, you know, have you ran into that with any of your younger employees that you have at Titan?
Yeah.
Or like helping them work through that?
Sure. I think one with employees, they all need to see that everyone can be successful too.
Encouragement, man. Sometimes people have to just tell you, hey man, you can do this too.
And they have to know that they have a stake in the outcome. That's a Jack Stack phrase, but everyone should have a stake in the outcome. And if you create a culture where they feel like if we succeed, I succeed, then that just the culture. I don't have to talk to you guys about culture, but just having that kind of culture with, man, if this company does good, I'm going to benefit from it. And I'm talking about from at our offices, everyone upstairs, everyone downstairs on the floor too. Because if we have, if next year, 5 years, 10 years, if we have 1, 2, 10 times as many employees and everybody that's there is still there, you're not packing boxes anymore. No. You're managing people.
Yep.
And so everyone needs to understand that that's on the plate. And I understand that's not every business either. I wouldn't feel good about driving a nice car, living in a nice house if I thought that all my employees were sweatshop workers, you know, but I think everyone there understands that there's a big opportunity, and that's what we're all pushing towards. And so I think that having a stake in it and understanding that we're still, I mean, we have 25 employees. That everyone, we're still small. It's still, even though I said we've been around since 2006, there's been a lot that just since that November of 2022 date, it feels like a startup, and everyone has that excitement of if we get through this, we keep climbing. I've got a good seat on this bus.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a rocket ship, and I got a good seat here. I can grow with this company. I think if you create that, truly create that, not just tell them, right? If they believe it and they can see it, you have to explain the why to employees. Then that alleviates a lot of the questions of the young people. When will I get mine? You know,
I do think that that's something that younger people are looking for more now than ever is, you know, being at a company that you know they could talk to the boss if they want to, and that they know that their boss actually cares about them. Versus, you know, when we were growing up, it was like, oh, how big of a company did you get a job with? Right. And I don't think really there's not too many people think like that anymore. Yeah, because they know that big company is going to have layoff rounds that 1,600 people are gone, you know, every other month in an economic downturn like we're seeing right now.
And I think with people with your managers and owners too, like. You have to understand you have to create that environment, but also be okay with knowing that they're not going to work like you. No one's going to care like you. They shouldn't. You know, they really shouldn't. It's not. You're not putting on a show that you're working harder or staying later than everybody else. That's part of what you signed up for.
Yeah.
You know. So I think if the environment can answer that question for a lot of them.
When you have these, like, you know, I think like you have these really great standards that you're running Titan off of. As you explore these other businesses throughout the country, is it become the norm to have these people that are really like focusing on culture and focusing on how they can give back, or is it still just seeming like that's the exception and not the rule?
That's tough to say. I think we're in a niche. You know, we're kind of in the nutrition industry, in the supplement space. We're kind of a niche inside a niche. So I can't speak to all of it. I'm sure there's other places like this.
There's just so much out there right now when it comes to how to better yourself, how to better your business, how to create a better culture.
Yeah, customer service is sucking more and more.
Exactly.
It should be the best.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And to your point, from how we just kind of got into this introspective talk, I do feel like people are becoming more and more and more selfish. And so it's the saddest part of it all is because everybody wants to do these things only to their own benefit. They don't understand the long-term gratification of, if I really do give myself to this mission, right, at this company, whatever it is, long-term, I will be able to experience all these great benefits, but they don't ever give it a chance. And so I walk into places and I just get terrible service, seemingly everywhere at this point. There's a few, you know, really great diamonds in the rough, and, you know, they're appreciated, but it just seems to be where there's never been more education out there on how to deliver on a phenomenal product or service. And you just seemingly have to just be okay with it being more and more terrible.
Yeah, I think people don't see it that. I mean, unfortunately, they don't see it that way, and maybe some don't work in industries they feel like there's any growth, and so they figure, you know what, I'm gonna clock in, but that's it. That's all you're gonna get from me. I'm gonna get on the clock. I'm gonna go through my day to day. I'm gonna smoke my weed and play my video games when I get off.
There was that. There's like a trend, I believe, on TikTok, quiet quitting. Is that right, Luke? You're familiar with the TikToks?
I've heard of it. That's like a.
That's the
what generation
what you're
are we on
saying
now?
Yeah, Z.
Yeah.
See,
I don't know if they're. Where do you start over after this? Is it just going to be Generation Me after this?
What generation are we? What generation are you?
millennial.
Millennial.
Okay. I was always Gen X, but then when I look at the dates, it turns out
You're a millennial, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm a millennial about a year or
like,
two.
Depending on, you could look it up, and depending on what website you go to,
Yeah.
I might be a millennial. Yeah. But growing up, we were always Generation X.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With that being said, like we were talking about, again, all of this education, it's all out there. And there's so many people, I think that, and we see it here locally, but there's a lot of people that will, I don't know, I guess at least signal through their social media that they value culture, they value personal growth, they value their staff, etc. It's weird. It just seems to be like there's never been more and more stuff out there to help people create the life that they want for themselves. And then you turn around and nobody seems to be like they're creating the life they want for themselves.
Well, I think there's some issues going on there, because I think that as businesses' margins get compressed, what do they start doing? They start making people take on more responsibility per one job.
Labor
right?
becomes more intense.
And that person that is working that job is just like, fuck you guys for making me do, you know what I'm saying? They're expecting too much out of certain people. They're also not painting a picture, and they're also watching people get hired into the positions above them, probably. So people are getting managers hired in above them. So they're looking at it and they're like, I'm not in a position where I can grow into a management because they're hiring people that are above me. They're also making me work too much. And then on top of that, I'm never going to be able to afford a house because of what's happening with the housing prices right now. And so it's like, what am I working hard for? I think that is like silently an undercurrent that is happening in the younger generation right now.
I think working for a big organization, it would be really hard to see, like, well, how do I, because I'm selfish too. Like I am like,
oh yeah, we all.
I want to make a shit. Like how much?
We're humans.
How much money do you want to make? I don't all of it. All of it. Like I'm not being altruistic. We're going to say like I want my employees. I genuinely want everyone there to be extremely wealthy, wildly wealthy, because I know if they all are, I am too. But I also understand that I can't win without them winning.
Yeah.
Right. Our slogan's "We came to win," and I got to get the whole team to buy in, because it has to be everyone. Like You're not going to see me blow up and get huge. I'm not even near that, but it takes all of us. I would love nothing more than for all of us to be killing it, because that's what it will take. It has to be a collective. Everyone's got to row hard in the same direction. And the easiest way to sink a ship is from the inside. Mm-hmm. So I'm very, very conscious of the culture we have, especially since the ownership consolidation and the things we've tried to build there. This whole, 2023 has been just a rebuild, not just now we're rebranding. All the formulas changed, the culture changed, and it is like we're going to win together. And it's not that's not my choice. Like, well, Brian's such a nice guy. He wants everyone there to win too. That's the only way I can do it. It's the only way.
Yeah.
If you guys deliver on those products, on those goods, those services, et cetera, the customer wins too.
Right.
Boom.
And it feels good too. But it doesn't the what do you call it? Quiet quitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what a shit way to go through life.
Yeah. It's sad, man.
Gotta be here.
Definitely short-sighted.
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny story about this. This is when I was in college. I'll never forget this. I was, the Walmart greeter.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in. This guy was got to be late 70s. He had one of those. He had one of those walkers.
Yeah. His name was Otis.
One of those walkers that you could also sit down in.
Oh, love those.
And it was like 9:30. It was kind of late at night.
Mm-hmm. And they still had a greeter.
They had a greeter.
And making sure no one's stealing anything.
They had a greeter. Yeah, a greeter.
That's the secret of the greeter.
Oh, is there making sure no one's stealing anything?
Making sure that no one's walking out with a vacuum.
I don't think this guy.
He's not chasing him down.
He had the elusive sit-down walker. He's not stopping anybody.
I always just thought
the walker was to throw you off. He's actually wearing a disguise.
I walk in with my girlfriend at the time, and I said, "Hey, how are you?" And he's sitting in his walker. He says, "Got to be here till 11."
Oh. That's a
Like,
classic.
sir, go back to your nursing home, dude. You don't got to be here.
He had one job. He had one job.
Can't even say hi.
Gotta be here but honestly, that's the most fun greeting I've ever had walking into a Walmart.
Did you laugh? I would have laughed like my ass off.
Of course.
You got to be here at 11.
Gotta be here till 11. I thought it was the best greeting ever.
This is coming out Thanksgiving week. What's Thanksgiving going to look like for you next week, Brian?
I will eat a normal Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, I'm not gonna turkey.
What are your go-to sides? This matters.
I'm not a huge stuffing fan.
What?
I'm not.
Come on, bro.
I feel like I like it more and more every year I get older. I feel like it's an age thing.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm pretty simple. I'll do a lot of turkey. I like the brown gravy.
You're not a psychopath eating cranberry sauce, are you?
Oh, dude, come on.
I like cranberry sauce
guys are
on the
psychos.
turkey. On the
Love
turkey.
it. Oh, yeah,
Even
yeah.
more psycho.
On the
Dude,
turkey.
actually, you could take all of Thanksgiving, like all the sides and the turkey, and put it
Blend
all
them.
into one. You know what I'm saying? That's where it's at. And the cranberry sauce got to go in there because that's a sweet portion.
Yeah.
You got to have the salty with the sweet.
You guys are crazy.
I'm gonna do some mashed potatoes. I generally prefer a sweet potato. You know, like maybe the sweet potato with the
Oh,
what
yeah.
is it? What is
marshmallow
it?
fluff?
Marshmallow on top. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do some of that. So we'll do it right. We're gonna
Mac and cheese? Is that a Thanksgiving staple or not?
No.
No, I'm not a mac and cheese. I wouldn't do mac and cheese. And
Mac and
have whatever you
cheese.
want. There's no repercussions. I wouldn't pick mac and cheese. I'm an adult.
Kyle,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm an adult. Yeah, man.
I love it.
It's exactly what I said. Are you going to keep it, healthy for the dessert? Are you going pecan pie? Straight corn, sugar.
It doesn't get much. A good Dutch apple pie, pumpkin pie. I'll have one of each of those for sure.
Like warm apple pie.
Yeah.
Classic.
Someone Tyler actually just told me, he said, your generation was American Pie.
Yeah.
No social media, no cell phones.
It was.
I grew up in the greatest time.
Sean William Scott.
Yeah.
He was Stifler.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No, we'll do it right for Thanksgiving. We'll host. We'll put it with green egg. We'll smoke a bird on the egg and have some.
Man,
leftovers.
smoked turkey is where it's at, dude.
You brine it.
It's so
done that?
good.
Dude, Brian introduced me to Big Green Egg. He was like the first ambassador before there was influencers.
shit.
Brian was out here just telling everybody about the Big Green Egg. He was the first person I knew.
I was going to barbecue competitions and learning from those guys.
For real? You still smoke pork butts? Is that your thing?
I don't do pork butts. More.
Not anymore, I guess.
No, I would. No one in my family likes pork.
Dang.
No one likes pork. Yeah.
That doesn't bother your
My
stomach,
ex-wife
does
didn't
it?
like pork, so I thought we'll get another one. Not just for that reason, but that was heavily weighted.
Yeah. All right, hey man, we love you. We thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank
We're
you,
so
man.
excited
So
about the
much.
new Kre-Ex
Yeah.
flavor, man, and just appreciate you doing what you do and how you do things.
I appreciate it. So much fun, guys. Come on. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Anytime.